This is the Erie Hobo's 100-watt solar panel, and it is tied to a 100 amp hour battery, and that's the house battery. And I have a switch, I can switch over and charge also the motor starting battery, which is just a regular marine battery. And this, on a recent trip, has proved to be helpful, but not totally adequate. Throughout the night, we want to be able to keep the electric cooler going, and the voltage drops more than I would like to see. So we have the original battery in the back. And what I'm proposing is we're going to go to 200-watt system, and we have a second marine battery right here. It's not quite 100 amp hours. I think it's something like 800 or whatever. Those will be in parallel and be charged by two 100-watt cells. When we use the inverter and plug in anything, even the TV, let alone the microwave, the voltage really sucks down and drops, especially the microwaves. And really, I think that's really realistic only if you're hooked into shore power, but I would like more capacity. In the back here, we've got here in the roof here is the solar panel leading down here through an MC4 connector. It's disconnected right now. And there's another connector there. And somewhere here is a fuse. There is a 10 amp fuse that normally goes in there. And I've just disconnected this because I intend to hook up two panels to this female and this male. And this panel is coming out, and because I wanted a matching panel, I'm installing two brand new panels up above the roof here. And the other panel will likely go on that trailer. So I'll show you the panel. I have it inside the garage. As an aside, this is really busy area here. This is an ammeter, voltmeter, power totalizer, like watt hour totalizer I have in the system. So I can tell what the loads, what's the voltage is and how things are dropping. This right there is the existing controller for that solar panel, the single solar panel on right now. I am going to keep that, to remove that and keep it with the old panel. And there's a new one to go here. I'll probably rearrange things a little. It's a little busy, and this was just something I threw in there. And now we'll go to the garage. Okay, this is the kit that I bought. It's a, you can read upside down here, it's a Renogy, and it's a bundle. It's 200 watt, two 100 watt panels, and with their WND 30 controller. So if we open it up, this is what we got. It's slightly smaller in dimension, slightly narrower than the existing panel. It's a different construction. On the back, the way it mounts, I'll be screwing some PVC plastic sleepers across here. And that's how I'll attach it to the roof, similar to the existing one. There's a second one down here. You know, it's here. This is the, I guess, the diode in there. And we have a female and male connector. Same thing here. They have to be tied together. As far as the bundle, this is what you get. You get this Wanderer solar charge controller. It's got inputs for the panel and output for the battery. And one thing that, and what you do is then tie your load direct to the battery. With the existing box that I have in the boat, it actually has two more terminals, and you tie in your load direct through the solar charge controller. I'll have to change my wiring a little bit in the boat when I do that, and I'm also going to have to tie in my second battery. It'll be just a short looped over parallel. Okay, we got that. They do give you one pair here of male, female. And what that would basically do is go with these Ys. There, you put that one in there. And this one into here. That's so that you can tie in your two controllers together. So the that would go in there, and the other one in here. And that way, sorry, not controllers, but your two panels. So basically the two females would go on those two males and give you an output right there. And you do, this is the opposite right here. So you use your Ys. These little pigtails are kind of short to do anything, but your two pigtails would go onto here and presumably go to your controller. But realistically, you have to extend these several feet to get to wherever you put your controller. I do have some leftovers and different things. I have, hey, another set like that. That's great. I might use that for something, might not. One thing you can do is if you, rather than buy these, I think this was $12 just for something like that, and you get a pigtail, and it's too short to do anything. What you can do is buy a pair. These are snapped together. There's it's a male and a female, male, female, and you can get some of your own. Here's some 10 gauge wire. You can, there's a little metal cap in there. You clamp, then you can solder the cap to that and put it in the connector and make up your own cables. So that's what I've done in previous installation. There's something else you want to throw in too. This is all stuff you might have to buy. This is a fuse, and it's really good to fuse your panels. This is a 10 amp fuse, which is reasonable for a 100 amp panel. I haven't had any trouble with this. I did some looking around to see what I should put in. I've got 10, and I've also got a 20 I could use, but I'm going to have a pair of 10s. Each panel will be individually fused for 10 amps. Before going into the Y. So it'd be like so, and then into the Y. I've got the connectors mixed up there as far as male and female, but that is basically all I'm going to need. I am going to need cable, and I'm going to have to make up stuff. When you make up battery cables, I'm going to have to make up some jumpers. This one's been used, but you can use that same, some number 10 wire. You can go heavier if you want. For going long distances, I've used battery cable, not battery cable, but jumper cables. You can get some nice like number 2 gauge or 4 gauge, and what you do is put that in right there. You can see I've crimped that. I used a punch. That's a chisel. I probably use this punch, and bam, you can stick that in an anvil, and you can crimp it down on the wire. And additionally, what you can do is solder that up good and hot, and flow a little solder in there too. It'll reduce the resistance of the joint. So this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get to work. I'm going to, first of all, work on the mounting for the panels, drill an extra hole so I can get the connectors through. And once the connectors are hanging down inside the boat, that's when I'll put the Ys on and the fuses, and I'll look at what length I need to make up cables to reach over to the existing wire in points. And after that, I'll rework the area where I put the controller, and I'll install that. And yeah, stay tuned. This is my original 100 watt panel I just removed. And you notice it's just over 26 inches by 40 inches. The new panels are 100 watts each. They are slightly longer. They're almost 42, so just an inch and a half longer, 2 inches longer. But look, only 21 wide. Isn't that something? 21 versus 26 and a half. Okay. They're a slightly different construction, but they are, based on when I bought that, these are at least 2 years newer than those. You notice how I attach them. I use these sleepers on the bottom. I just bolted them in, and then I had free access to use carriage bolts here to put them through my roof. If you notice, there's a little camber to them. They're a little bent. That's because my roof on my after cabin that I made for drainage and so on, I made it slightly arched. So I'm going to make up some sleepers for those, and I'm going to lay them in place, roughly spot them, and then drill holes. Well, I really should be showing you this out in the sunshine, but yesterday when we were out with the boat, I forgot all about this to finish this video. But there are the two 100-watt panels installed, and they're basically these blocks, sleeper blocks or whatever, are attached underneath in convenient holes in the aluminum extrusion, and then they're drilled through, and carriage bolts, stainless steel carriage bolts, bolt them to the ceiling there, or to the roof. And I had to drill one more hole for this one for the cables to go through. I think it had to be about a 1 inch, or was it 3/4 inch? 3/4 inch, I think, to be able to fish through the MC4 connectors. So really it works. There's no problem with this system. It remains to be seen how much more capacity I have. Now I have two 100 amp panels and almost 200 amp hours, maybe about 180 amp hours of battery storage. Okay, we'll go inside and see what I did there. This is the underside of the roof. Solar panels are on the other side. That right there is an original hole for cables from the original panel. I added a second hole. You can see two wires coming from each of the holes. There's a grommet there, and it's been packed with silicone so that it doesn't leak. Right here, these are two fuses. Okay, and this is the positive line. The two positives from the two panels goes into a Y connector, goes into the house wiring. Well, that leads to the charge controller, the positive. There's a Y with the two panel negatives going into the negative. You'll notice that the positive goes into this switch, isolation switch. I added this. The reason that I added it, I didn't have it in the other installation, but the charge controller with the new panels says do not just operate the panels, have them connected to the charge controller without a load connected. Okay, so now I want to be able to shut this off, and it's in the off position right now. You cannot turn this on. You might damage the controller if you turn it on without the house battery or the batteries being connected. So this is my battery selector, and right now it is on the house battery number 2. You can't see the selector, but I can feel it. So I know the battery is engaged, and I can look and I say, oh wow, I can see my charge controller says battery, and it's got this other status light. That green status light means it says, I don't know if you can see it, but green sealed. It already analyzed the battery. Actually, sorry, I preset that it's for AGM for a sealed battery. That's my totalizer and so on. But anyhow, we're going to watch. I'm going to reach around the corner. Even in this dim barn, we're going to see if there's some output. And I'm just connecting. Boom. Okay, so the photovoltaic PV is active. And there are some codes. There is a little code sheet. I printed a copy so I remember to tell you different things. Fast flashing, what does that mean? Means over voltage. Slow flash is normal. Things like that. Solid green is low output, actually, is what it says. So right now the panel is saying, hey, low output, and that's because we're inside a dark barn. So anyhow, we're pleased that works. We've got down here, we've got the second battery located here, and the cooler happens to fit next to it, and this is tucked around a corner. This cooler has actually a wedge that holds that battery and the cover on, and in the very back we have the original battery. So everything's all tied in. They're in parallel, so two AGMs in parallel, and we'll really get the real trial of this the next time we do an overnight. So we've just been out on the river yesterday for half a day, and everything worked fine. I mean, we can operate things, it's just how long. Something like the microwave really isn't, still you need several more batteries to realistically be able to use the microwave. But using things like the fan, the electric cooler, the television, through the inverter, which right now you see the inverter is on right now for the TV and the microwave, but I'll shut that off. So that is it for the photovoltaic system.